Hello, folks. Hopefully, we are live right now. It's been a minute since I did a live show, so leave me a comment. Let me know if you're seeing and hearing me okay. It's basically it's nice to be back. Yeah, it's really been a little while since I did one of these. I'm not really sure how to get started, so I'll just wait for the chat to fire up. I see Simon and David in the chat. Okay, and Sean, hi, great. Nice to see you guys. I don't really have a big reason to come on today. It's not like I'm here to plug something or anything like that. It just felt like it had been a long time since I did a live. Since I have done one, I've started doing Patreon and I'm looking to do some live content for that. And I thought I would come on, catch up with you guys, see if there's an interest in doing more YouTube live stuff and make sure that all my equipment is still working essentially. And so far, so good. Hopefully my exposure is good. I tested last night when it was a bit darker and was planning to wear a black t-shirt and then ended up wearing this one because I got home late from the gym. But I have Q&A that I called out for on Instagram that I wanted to run through today. Thought I'd give you a little recap and explain why the lives kind of dried up before. And I would love to get your feedback. So I've set up today's video as being a lower resolution, ultra low latency. So it should be that when you leave a comment, I see it and can reply within a couple of seconds instead of like the 30 seconds it often takes on a 4K live. Thank you for the question, Yudayen. Feel free, anyone, to leave questions now, but I think I'll go through all the questions in one section rather than stopping and starting doing questions like that. So I'll come back to you. So let's see, quick recap. I'm not long back from the States. I was over there for a week of hiking and exploring up in Oregon and Washington. It sounds funny to say exploring. I mean going new places that I hadn't been before, not like forging paths and writing maps to areas that had been inhospitable or inaccessible to people before. And that was really, really lovely. Then I was down in Philly for 5 or 6 days filming and working with Steph, and some of that content is actually going up on Patreon at the moment. And then up to New York, did a workshop, and then was at the Build Expo, and then had some time to catch up with friends. It was all really great. Yeah, so all of that. Coming up soon, I'm planning to go to Kyrgyzstan, and also I'm running a tour to Bhutan. That one's looking great, where the trip is on. That's for September. We still have a few spots left. If anyone's interested in joining us, please get in touch. Now about the lives. So we were doing like it wasn't a weekly live, was it? Or maybe we were, I don't remember, but we're doing at least like a monthly live where I would review people's images. And it just kind of felt like it had gotten into, I don't know, just into a loop where, no offense, because I know some of you are in the room now, but we would get the same contributors every month, and it didn't seem to get that much conversation anymore. There wasn't chat in the room discussing the images. I never intended the lives to be, well, today's one I guess is, but I never intended for them to be me just giving a lecture. I always wanted it to be a place for community where we would all come and have a conversation. So if it was the same 10 people or 20 people submitting images and me giving feedback, and it's basically those 20 people listening, and it's not growing the community, there isn't a conversation where at least those 20 people are all having a conversation about each other's work, it's just me giving a lecture on it, it kind of felt redundant, and what's the point? So I was thinking to take a pause for a while, see if I can rejig the format, maybe get a sponsor on board so I can give away a cool prize each time. Maybe that would get more people involved. And I'm thinking maybe I use Reblum editing software a lot now. Maybe I could get some licenses or some extended trials, something like that, to be given away as prizes. Let me know if you'd like to see a little demo. They just updated the, what do you call it? The profiles, not the profiles, the, I don't know, the algorithm, whatever, that they use, and the results are better and quicker again now. So as I say, we weren't getting much interaction. We've basically had no comments since this video started. So if you have a question, if you'd like to get involved, please do, because I'm really not here to give a lecture. Daniel would like to see a demo of Reboom. Great, I will come back to that. Thank you, Daniel. And where are you, Van Dalsum? Are you in the Netherlands or something? Where are you coming from, Daniel? Let's see. Please keep sending in your questions. Otherwise, I've just got a couple of notes here of the topics that I would hit on. So Patreon has been going great. Thank you to everyone who signed up over there. I think in paid and free members, we have like 1,000 members now, which is crazy. And big thanks to Steph for encouraging me to actually go on and make a Patreon. For that, we're basically sharing uncut, uncensored, unedited behind the scenes footage. So like I do a shoot with Steph. It could be us planning and packing for a shoot. It could be us doing a YouTube shoot. It could be us making an art course. But we'll have cameras on in the room the whole time. So as we're chit-chatting about what we're about to film or what we're gonna have for lunch, and then getting changed and getting mic'd up or whatever, and then doing the shoot, doing the talking to camera, we basically keep all of that in. So you get to see the entire shooting process. So it's something fun, and even when I make a course where you're there in the room behind the scenes, there's still editing, right? There's still, you know, I say the wrong thing and we need to cut it out, or we make an inappropriate joke and we decide we should probably take that out. All of that stuff gets left in for Patreon. Great, thank you for the comments coming in, guys. I really do appreciate it. I don't want to complain that there's no comments and then you send them and I don't respond. So thank you for the comments. I will come back. We'll do Q&A. Actually, we'll get to that really quickly. That's all looking good. Yeah, so anyway, Patreon's going great, and I post generally every day, put up a video clip or some photos or something. So details for that's in my link tree if you want to check it out. It's turning out to be really great. USA was great. I saw questions about my upcoming trip to Kyrgyzstan, so I'll get to that in the questions section, but I'm really looking forward to that. I'm just finalizing the details on it at the moment. Someone, let's see. Actually, let's just start to segue towards the questions. Someone earlier asked about what I was using for filming. So right now I'm using the Z9 and the 51.2, and I think it's at 1.2 or 1.3. I've got a big continuous Generate light here coming through a Westcott softbox, an octa, a deep octa. And then behind me I have a little LED diffused light that's lighting up my background to keep it looking nice. So that's the guts of it. And you might have seen I recently did a YouTube short and an Instagram reel, short, whatever, talking about this guy. The color for this, I set up using this. This is the Data Color light color meter. And let's see, will it show you if I cover my face? It's great. I'm really surprised that I'm using this as much as I am. It's basically, how to explain it? It does so many things. In the video, I only mentioned one thing, which is if I put it here at my face, so this is then measuring the light that's basically exactly hitting my face, take a reading. Oh, it's changed a little now because probably the sun's coming up, but now it's saying it's 5,560 Kelvin. When I tested this about 40 minutes ago, before there was direct sun on any of the nearby windows, I think it was 5630. So it lets you get the exact white balance, so then you can dial it in. And the very first shoot when I got this, and I was just testing it out for myself before we had any kind of agreement to make some content about it. I was shooting with the Hasselblad X2D, set it up, and the Hasselblad already has amazing color and probably the best white balance, auto white balance that I've used on any camera. But I was shooting Felicia in a hotel room. There was a big window behind me. There was a warm lamp behind her. There was a couple of lights in the room. So I could measure for the window, and that's something. But then really what was lighting her was quite mixed. And putting the light thing beside her, taking a measurement, dialing that in specifically on the camera, Christ, I don't think I've seen more beautiful skin tones that I've taken on any shots ever. That it suddenly became the most rich and lush and perfect too. Like looking at my camera, looking at her face, everything just looked absolutely spot on and warm and healthy and lovely. So it does that. It tells you your white balance, but it will also tell you your exposure. So if you're doing video or whatever, or if you want to check ratios, like what's the light on this side versus this side, is it one stop difference or whatever, it can measure that for you. But if you're doing this kind of work, there's something that it's pretty insane, but I didn't mention it in the video I made because I think it's too complicated for a lot of folks. But let's say you're shooting with 2 or 3 different lights. It can measure them all and then tell you if you want your key light to match your fill and your background light, then put exactly this gel on it and it will match them. So it uses the 3 main gel companies, and it can tell you the exact gel or combination of gels to put onto which lights to match the color coming out of them. It's pretty insane. And you can have this like 5 of them connected to your phone at once, so you can measure different parts of the scene if you're doing filmmaking or that kind of thing. So anyway, segue. That's, if you notice my color is getting better in recent things, that's probably a good part to do with it. Thomas Haynes, nice to see you. I was trying to set this up last night and kind of struggling to remember how I did something and thinking, I wonder if after a year it would be rude to write to Thomas and ask him for some advice, but we figured it out. Nice to see you. All right, I got some questions on Instagram, but seeing you guys are here live, let's go through the questions that you've put in here. Simon, Sean, thank you for your early feedback. Udian, do you have a preferred focal length for video? Look, honestly, no, because just like photos, it depends on the scene and what you're trying to capture. What's your shooting space? What's the mood you're trying to get? If you have the space and you want to film with a 200mm to get a head and shoulders shot, it's going to give you a much different look than if you shoot with a 35 coming in tight, shooting the same head and shoulders frame. So it really depends on the shot. Right now I'm using a 50, but it's to do with my working distance and the perspective, so that, you know, just here I have a pair of binoculars on my desk. And if I want my coffee cup out, I can just get it out of the frame. If I'm closer with the 35mm lens, then I wouldn't be able to do all of that. And I don't have a 35 one too. Daniel did want to see a demo of Reblum, so I'll come back to that. Simon, what's your thought on DxO Photolab? I haven't used it in years, or I haven't used DxO software anyway, so yeah, not sure, sorry. Daniel is near Magic Mountain in Los Angeles. Oh, cool. I go to LA fairly often, but maybe not surprisingly, I've not been to Magic Mountain. Sean asked, is your Kyrgyzstan trip in preparation for a tour? Actually, we have already done a tour to Kyrgyzstan, but this one I'm going to some new areas, so yeah, hopefully for a upcoming tour. Nick is saying, about when I disappeared, he burned out for a bit and was doing the same thing over and over. I hope it wasn't me leaving that it contributed to that. Have you ever burned out on photography and put it aside for a while? Look, it's a really fair question, but it's when you decide to take it on as your career, you kind of can't burn out unless you want to stop having an income. You know, it's just the reality of it. I love what I do. I'm not complaining about any of it, but it really is. If I stop, everything winds down, and it's great to take a break, but then no money's coming in essentially. So some things, no. Personal photography, yeah, sure. I've hit little walls and felt uninspired at times. Generally, it's hard to say because I don't know what you're shooting, who you're shooting with. This won't apply to all forms of photography or all situations in life. Not everyone can just pack up and take a trip somewhere. I appreciate that. But I often find, well, anyway, I'm going through different phases in my life, and I do find more and more that having a connection with people really, really makes a difference for me. Even though I'm kind of an introvert and I tend to recharge my batteries alone, there's something nourishing about being with people and in a community. So if it's doing portrait shoots, but then getting the model and friends and a stylist or whoever's involved, getting all of their opinions and then coming up with the concept together rather than it all coming from me, I find that refreshing. Doing a day of shooting where there is no commercial objective and it's just to create something cool where everyone has equal input, where there's just going to be more ideas, whether they're better or worse, or I like the final idea more or less. If all the ideas keep coming from me, it does feel like it's a well that's eventually going to dry up. But if you have 5 people's contributions, it really makes a difference. So even if I'm going out to hang out and walk the city for the day, meeting up with some people, having more conversations with people, asking the person at the coffee shop if they know any nearby parks that are nice to go and photograph. All of those kind of interactions, I find, kind of can start to lift me out of a lull. Do you use Focus? This is from Gotham Park. Do you use Focus to edit Hasselblad RAW images? My normal workflow is I bring them into Focus and import them there. That changes them from the 3FRs to the FFF files. It burns in the color, makes any adjustments that you've applied, and then I'll bring those files into Lightroom. I do file management in Lightroom still, and then I do most work in Lightroom. Some things I'll jump into Photoshop, and then for portraits I generally output them. It depends. If it's a single shot, I'll do Rebloom in Lightroom as like a plugin. Otherwise, if it's like a dozen or dozens of shots, then I'll export them as high-res JPEGs, and then I'll run the Rebloom. So that's actually maybe a nice little segue. Now, I have a feeling my screen's going to go a bit haywire because I need to, I'm only using one screen here, so I need to, and let me just check that the shots I've chosen are nothing that's going to get me banned. Is this a good one? Let's see. I don't know that the shots I've even chosen are the best demonstration because they're not real tight close-ups on faces. Let me just see what we have here. Oh, I have an idea of what's a good one. I actually have a lens here. It's been announced, so I'm pretty sure I'm allowed to talk about it, but my video hasn't gone out yet. It's this guy, and I was just finding images from that review. This is the Case 85 1.4 lens, just hiding off screen right there. Let me grab a couple of photos from this demo to show you guys. Sorry, this is something I really should have prepared earlier so that it were a little smoother. Is this a good one? Well, these shots all look so perfect already. Maybe I should do this and do it a little bit later rather than fumbling my way through this whilst you guys are all waiting. I'll just show you this image. It's just not the most perfect one to do a demonstration on because it's not a super close-up, but let's just, hopefully this has just transferred across and now you're seeing the shot. So essentially you bring in your shot. So here I just brought in 5 that weren't showing too much. So like this one, this was at quite a high ISO, but on the side here you've got natural or fashion, and then the amount that you want each applied. So if we go to natural, then general, as I bring it down or as I bring it back up, texture down and up. Let's, this isn't the highest res file, but let's just bring it in here. So if we have it, if I hold this eyeball down, it shows you the before. So on fashion, this may be not the best example because it is a, as I say, it was a high ISO shot. Let's have a look at this one. So this is fashion, that's after and then before. So these aren't the best demonstrations, and then, but you can say leave more texture. But the thing I love is even there on the highest settings, she still has all of the skin pores and natural texture there. It doesn't just turn them into, you know, airbrushed Barbie doll skin. And then you've got a more natural look that leaves in more of the little thinking lines, that kind of thing. Then you can choose how fast you want it to process, because like say, sorry, I bumped my mic. On one of my courses, I might have 500 photos from this model, Margot. She's actually in the upcoming Paris course that I'm working on. So then you may want to just put it on balanced or fast, and then you basically say, okay, so that's the settings I want. Let's say fashion, with the general and the texture down a little bit. I want it on high quality. And then let's say I'll just save that all onto the desktop for the sake of this. And boom, then it goes through and does all 5 of them and writes it. And I'd better just take this screen off just in case it's gonna flash something that gets me taken off YouTube. I don't need that. Yeah, so that's basically how it works. You can also do it as a plugin in your Lightroom as kind of a lossless step. So I hope you guys found that helpful. I am thinking to do a whole video on my workflow and should give you some more useful images as examples, because on some shots, gosh, it makes a huge difference, and it does such a natural edit that, this isn't a sponsored segue, by the way. It gets results better than I can do myself, even if I spent, you know, 15 minutes per image. It just gets a better result, so that's why I'm using it. Okay, so let's jump back into the questions. How have the repairs been going on your Nikons? From Michael. I don't have any ongoing repairs with Nikon. What did I have? I did break a Z9 and maybe damaged a Z8 back in the day. I had a foot rip off my 70-200, which still I'm frustrated to say 6 months later, they still won't give me an answer on what's going on with that, why that happened. Is it a known issue? I think it is. But I don't have anything currently under repair, thankfully. David asking the recent video on the Z8 firmware, what's my most usable features? Gosh, I don't know. I think in the YouTube video I ran through and mentioned the different features that I thought were going to be most useful for others and for myself. There's quite a few tucked in there. Certainly the focus limiter will come in handy. I'm not sure that I will use the pixel shift terribly much. But there are lots of little things that make a difference. Like I like that we can now keep the focus box when we're using the high-res zoom, that kind of thing. It's so predictable. I mean, it doesn't frustrate me because I didn't make the software, but it must be a bit for Nikon. You can't help you bring out all these new features, and then you have some people going, "Yay, great new features," and then some people but I wanted this and you didn't give me this, even though you never promised this. And then others saying, but I have this camera and now you owe all of us all of those features too. It's kind of a, you can't update everything and give every feature to every camera at once, but somehow people are only ever focused on, I own this, serve me. But yeah, looks like it's going to be a really well received software, and it is live right now. If you guys haven't seen it yet, you can check it out. I have a link to that in my link tree as well. Robert, howdy from Texas. Howdy, partner. Leon Wong, have you tried the Viltrox 85-14 Pro? I've tried lots of the different Viltrox lenses and they're great. They're getting better and better. Their Pro and Lab lenses are really good. The Lab lenses in particular are pretty spectacular. It's just great to see more competition, and selfishly, I'm really happy to see more of the manufacturers being able to make them for Z-mount as well. Cliff is also asking about the Z8 firmware. Check out my recent video on it. I went through the top line features for YouTube, and if you have my Nikon setup guide, I run through all of the different features there, and including how to do the actual pixel shift stitching. Daniel's asking about, I think he's asking about the light meter and how fine a detail it gives you. I'll just show you. So it does, for example, right now it's saying 5510 plus 1/8 green. So you can get those fine color details as well, to let you know about color shifts as well as just the Kelvin temperature. Philip, this is a question that I wish I had a better answer for. Unfortunately, not yet. That's why, so basically his question was, when you buy a course from me and you download it, the file name doesn't come through with it. Can we make that happen? Unfortunately, no. It's just the way that the site works, that when I upload them, they're all named. But for some reason, I think they store on Amazon and it gets turned into something vague. That's why we recommend you download them one at a time, and you can actually then just rename it quickly. So part 1, part 2, part 3, that kind of thing. I'm sorry, I wish I had a better answer on that one. It's something that I raise with them every couple of months and don't get a response on. I'm sorry. Another one asking about Viltrox lenses. What, are the Viltrox sent their minions in to infiltrate the chat? Mark, thank you for your expertise and willingness to share with amateurs who enjoy learning about the craft. My pleasure. Thank you for a kind comment. David, has moving to Patreon taken over your life? Providing daily content must be exhausting. You would think that, and it's why I resisted it. And to be honest, I didn't think it would be daily, but then it turned out people kind of expect that on that site. But it actually isn't, because I'm shooting a lot and I have a huge archive of content that I've already shot going back to 15 years ago with Tina that I still have that I can call on. And I have to say I'm really thankful to past me for setting it up right, that making it uncut means it's not, the main time goes into if I need to re-edit the clips. In this case, it's a matter of making sure it's a clip that I have the copyright to be able to use in this way, and then I can just compress the video files, and then I'll upload 1 or 2 weeks worth on a day, and then schedule it all, and then it just goes ahead. So then I'm just going in to interact with the chat, that kind of thing. So I'm not actually uploading every day. So right now I think I have uploaded until the 8th or 9th of July is already scheduled. But I'm thinking about maybe putting up a holiday sale, so I might have to squeeze in an extra post to let people know about that too. So a couple of people are calling the software Redblum. It's actually Reblum. Let me just share it with you. And no, I don't think it's only for Mac. Here, you can use this link in the chat and get a free trial. There's no limits on how many shots you can process. So if you want to go through and run it over 5,000 images that you've already gotten ready, go for it. And it's also, there's no per image charge like some of the software has, and it's all done on your computer. It doesn't need an internet connection, which is great. So check it out, and if you like it, then you can buy it. If you don't, then you can just have the free trial and then delete it again. David, great to meet you at Build. At the backpack showcase. Which backpack showcase? There was a lot of bags that I saw from different brands, but thank you for coming to say hi, and it was nice to meet you and lots of people at Build. Thomas, question. Photography YouTube is well served by a lot of great photographers such as yourself. Do you think that there's room for newcomers to make their mark, or is this space already too crowded as is? I think if you have okay, real talk. I think if you have a unique enough voice, yes, you can make it, and or a unique enough style. So let's say, I remember it wasn't that many years ago that I got a message from a new YouTuber who was just getting started named Manny, wanting to collab, and I think was writing to everyone who was bigger than him wanting to collab. And he made great content, and he made very stylish videos, and he's grown and grown and grown, and Manny Ortiz now is, you know, one of the stable YouTubers. So for sure it can work. I do think if you're going to be just coming in and, I don't know, either you need to have some kind of niche, or it really helps now if your production quality is great from the start. Like when I started 15 years ago, I'm still not at the top level of production, but when I started, it was just garbage, but there weren't many people, and I was myself, and I was able to still plod and fuddle around and find my way. Now I think you kind of need to come in and be slick from the get-go, or have a unique personality, or be looking at something really niche. So like, I'm now looking at binoculars, but if you were looking at large format film, there may only be 5 big people in that space instead of hundreds in the general photography space. David, I was looking at the fanny packs. Sorry, I still don't remember. There's a lot of different bag manufacturers. Paul, can I get the I Shoot Raw t-shirt in your merch store? No, sorry, I'm not a haberdashery shop or a merch store kind of person. I'm a photographer and a photography teacher, not a t-shirt seller. Let's see, we have the questions from Instagram. I'll just quickly go through those. Joe was asking how many megapixels are too much or too many. So I'm looking at these kind of for the first time. I don't think there's necessarily a number that's too many, as long as your lens can resolve it and you have the storage and you have the processing power on your computer. I don't think the computer's the issue that it used to be. People say, oh, you're gonna need to upgrade your whole computer system. Maybe I'm lucky that I'm already using a good computer system, but I haven't really found that in the past 5 years. Going from 30 to 50 or 60 megapixels, I haven't seen it cause a big workflow issue other than storage. I use 102 megapixel with Hasselblad. I'm not looking for more, but I can handle more if it came, but I don't need it by any means. Do you conduct workshops in Hong Kong? I haven't done many, but I am looking to do more. So keep an eye on my website, or if you're interested, then send me an email. It's much easier to keep track of things on email than Instagram if you're interested in doing something. Chris, when will you do live photo contests with Steph or bring in Honey as a guest judge? Well, that's what I wanted to ask you guys. Do you want to get back to doing regular photo competitions? Maybe giving away something like a copy of Rebloom as a prize? Do you want to get back into that? And if so, rather than just a yes, let me know how you think we could shake it up a little bit and do something a bit different, because just the same format I was always doing, I don't know that it's really that exciting. If it's just about getting the feedback, well, maybe there's just a better place that we can do the reviews. Adrian asks, how did you meet the beautiful and sexy Stephanie Pham? I'll just read these verbatim without comment on the actual questions. We've talked about this so many times, but if you go back and search my channel for 8K video content, like the topic 8K, I put up a casting call for a model. We were shooting at the YouTube studio. She applied. She took the bus in from Philly to New York City. And that was our first day of filming together, was filming at the YouTube studios. And we went from there. Any new 1 week courses planned? Actually, we are working on that right now. The shot that I just showed you was from Paris, and that's going to be the next one to release. I think it's going to be the longest and most detailed boudoir course we've done to date. I think it's looking at like being about 14 hours of content, 6 models, and this one includes some more city related stuff on like things to see and do for inspiration. We shot in apartments, hotels, at the Louvre, in the gardens, outdoors, on cobblestone streets. So it's looking to be a great one, but so much work to get it all together. If you could add a martial art into your routine for health, what martial art would it be and why? I'm guessing you're a martial arts guy. Well, it's not a if I could add it. Of course I can. Like, I can, but I don't. So I'm sorry, it's not, I don't know what insight you're hoping to get from me. I don't have any martial arts expertise, so I don't like have a favorite that I would choose. I think I studied Kung Fu as a toddler or a teenager, but I guess it would make sense if I was going to do that to either do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, because I have a good friend who does that, who could give me tips, or maybe Taekwondo, because Steph does that, so she can put me in my place if I ever got cocky. How do you go about finding models to work with? This is a huge topic that, again, we've talked about in other places, either in Hong Kong or worldwide. Finishes his question. I'll just keep it really brief. It varies by country. Instagram's the most reliable, not the most reliable, but the most common throughout different countries. Some countries use Purpleport or Book or Backstage. There's a few different sites, and it just depends which country you're in. But going back to surfing through different models, photographers, accounts to find people you might want to work with on social media is a good one, and a lot of models are expecting to be contacted that way. But if you're looking for professionals, agencies. Max asks, any tricks for getting good white balance and exposure in a forest on a bright grey sky day? This guy will get it perfect for you. If whatever it is you're shooting, whether it's in a forest or in a studio, holding this up and taking a white balance reading will give you exactly what you want. If short of that, then grey card is a good option, but it is not nearly as accurate as something like this. Only Humans asks, who are you? Now, I don't know if he meant to type, how are you, because he's a friend and we know each other, or if it's meant to be a deep philosophical question, but I'm really well, thank you. Who am I? Yeah, let's assume that's a philosophical one, and you know who I am, at least on a surface level. let's see. A few more here. What are you working on at the moment? Every time I come back from a trip, my poor editor is under a mountain of footage that I've brought back with me. When I went to Europe last time, I filmed in Paris and Prague, and we have loads of content from that. Steph and I made 1.5 full courses together. So we've got lots of that stuff to catch up on. We're working on YouTube content. I'm making some stuff on binoculars as well at the moment. I've got 10 different pairs of Nikon binoculars in from B&H Photo in New York. And we have 2 general photography courses that we're working on for learn.mattgranger.com and a couple for learn.artnudeportraiture.com. Okay, 3 more here, then I'll come back to YouTube, and then I guess another 10 minutes will wrap the show. Don, State of Origin tomorrow night versus Queensland versus New South Wales. Who do you think will win? The burning topics. I have no idea who's playing. I don't follow Australian Rugby League, but of course I have to root for New South Wales because I'm from there. Croft, if it's not too personal, how are you doing health-wise? Thanks for asking. Yeah, I'm good. I'm guessing maybe 2 reasons why you asked that. One, I was having some medical issues a month or 2 ago. I ended up going to hospital just for an upset stomach that wouldn't go away. Long story short, it's all clear, and all the things that they were worried about seem to be under control or moving in the right direction, so that's good news. The other reason you might worry or ask that question, I get this comment a lot, is that on camera it may look like I've gotten really skinny really quickly, but there's a couple of things going into that. One, I tend to always lose weight from my basically here to here really quickly, so that's what you see on camera the most, whereas my midsection and my legs take longer to lose weight. And the other thing is probably you see a video every couple of months, so the change might seem more drastic, but I'm eating well and working out and not drinking and trying to do all the right things to get my health and fitness and cardiovascular health and strength improved. And I've been doing it for years, so it's been a long, steady process, not a sudden weight loss that it might look like if you watch a video 1 week that's from 2023 and then you watch another one that's from last week. You see a big change, but it's been slow and steady getting here. So thanks for asking, but yeah, I'm doing well. And then, will you try out the nude cocoon concept with a fine art model? This is someone whose username also has those keywords in it, so I'm guessing they're either in that industry or they're making the products related. I didn't know that that's what it's called or that it has its own niche, but I have shot models with fabric, and one of the courses that we've already started filming is about shooting with fabric. But rather than just putting people in fabric and having them make interesting shapes in it, we're trying, I won't give it away now because it could be a while till we finish the course, but we're adding different elements to try and make it a more, what's the right word? So that there's more going on, basically, that I think is going to make it really interesting. So thank you guys for all of those questions. Looks like we have a couple more questions on the chat here on YouTube, but was there anything else? Oh, quick couple of pieces of news that I just wanted to mention that I had seen recently. Really happy to see, and not that I take any credit or that photographers necessarily did either, but something that affects us that I was really happy to see. The big, beautiful bill going through the American government at the moment. You might remember, or you might have seen that Senator Mike Lee from Utah, ironic that he's from Utah, one of the most beautiful states, had snuck in a little thing saying that the government needed to sell off millions of acres of public land, some which was right up against national parks or even in national parks, And I shared it. I know a lot of nature photographers shared it, that what a blow this could be to one of the greatest things in America, I think. Well, that's a hard thing to say, but a great thing in America is their national park and public lands, and it's just an amazing system. The week I did up in Oregon and Washington going through national and state parks was unbelievable, and they're all through the country. Anyway, that has been taken off the bill. So everyone who did make an effort to get their voice heard on that issue, great to see that. I saw that Tamron has coming out with a second generation 16 to 30 f2.8, and that is going to be available for Nikon Z as well as Sony, I'm sure. So I've written to them hoping I can get hands-on to check that one out. Yeah, that was basically the couple of things I wanted to bring up. Then the last few little things here, if you have suggestions on if you want to see more image review and how we could do that in a more interesting way, let me know. Okay, oh, looks like there's a lot of new questions. I'll run through these, but then I am gonna cap this at 1/2 the hour, so otherwise they can just run on and you have 3 people left and they're never ending. Let's see. What's your go-to everyday carry camera when you're not working? Good question. When I went hiking through, oops, front doorbell ringing. I had the Z8 that I took out sometimes when I'd go hiking, but if it's for just a day of walking around, sometimes I just don't take a camera, so I can really have a day off. But I really enjoy using the X2D, so that's one that I use a lot. Have you picked up any new watches? No, but I do like this Casio G-Shock in green and orange. Hey Matt, thinking on switching back from Sony to Nikon, thinking on the Z8 and the Z6 III, any tech advice before going back? Man, I don't know how people have the energy, let alone the money to just switch systems, especially if you went from Nikon to Sony and now you're going Sony back to Nikon. None of my business. Any tech advice? I really can't comment. I mean, I'm a Nikon user, I love it. The Sony cameras are also fantastic. It's whatever meets your needs. You obviously see a reason for this, so I'm sure you know your shooting requirements better than I do. The Z8 and the Z6 III are great. They're great cameras. They share cards, they share batteries, they share lenses, so it's just like the Sonys in that way. You're not going to have to buy multiple different accessories. Yeah, they're both great cameras. I'm not sure exactly what advice you would want. It's going to mean a few weeks or months of getting used to everything being in different places again, but I hope it works out for you. Paige, never needed a Nikon nor Sony as long as Canon has autofocus and colors. Okay. Ian, thanks for doing this chat. Have to go as there's fireworks going off and I need to try and photograph it. Great, enjoy. John, I'm supposed to be working, but on a coffee break, can't wait to download V3 and play with the focus limiter. He's talking about the Z8. Great, enjoy, it's live now. I also have a link for that in my link tree. Josh Jones, live is so sharp, need that deets. I went through it at the start, but I'm using the Z9, the 51.2, Rode Lav mics, Westcott deep octa light, and a Genere LED. A little backlight, and then adjusted my Kelvin with the data color. The camera, even though it's not recording, was set to ProRes. It just seems to give a more beautiful picture. But this is actually on the lowest quality because we're on the fastest streaming. So if we were on the more delayed version, then we would have a much higher bit rate and the picture would look even better. Okay. Okay, I'm going to have to say, let's cut the questions there because we only have 10 minutes left and there's still a lot for me to get through here. Robert, great. You look really great. Happy New Year. Your health is good. Thank you. But, who was it? Walt Whitman, that you have to take success and failure, compliments and criticisms as the same. When I get negative comments or people who are trying to be helpful, who think they know what's going on in my life, giving criticism about my health or that kind of thing, and I dismiss it, I equally just have to dismiss the compliments because I know what I'm doing and no one else does, but still, thank you for the nice compliment. I don't know says happens to me too. I look gaunt in the face whilst losing weight and look normal afterwards. Okay. Donald, thanks for all the years of educational material. I wanted to ask, what's your favorite adapted manual lens to shoot on your Hasselblads? I'm sorry to say I don't really. There are lenses that I have used and some of them give a great result. I'll answer your question directly. I use sometimes some Leica manual focus lenses. I only have, or M-mount anyway, not necessarily Leica brand, for just like a really dreamy look. But to be honest, not having a mechanical shutter, the hit rate is so low. You get some where it's like obviously distorted from the readout speed. But if you get 2 or 3 shots side by side that all look good, still I can see, there's a bit of stretching here or there that they're not perfect. Unless it's on a tripod, hands-free of a landscape, I wouldn't use them handheld, and I use that camera generally handheld. Everyone, please like the stream. Thanks again, Matt, for your great work. Thank you, Mark. Okay. Our Canon shooter who doesn't need anything as long as it has autofocus is black, and he or she loves Donald Trump. Great. Tony Pags, will you be coming to Canada for a workshop? I'd love to. I have only been to Toronto in the past, and only once, and it must have been a decade ago. So yeah, I would love to come back. Robert Colby, do we expect the same improvements on the Z9 as have been released on the Z8? I don't work for Nikon, I have no idea, but generally they do, but there's some things that get kept for different lines. They're not always equalized, so wait and see. The Z9 is still the flagship. What are your favorite 3D pop lenses for portraits? It's a funny one. It's not something that I'm chasing for. The 90V Hasselblad is fantastic. The 105E is probably my other, and I really like the 200 f2. Randall, with the price increases in the United States now, would you suggest buying in Europe or other places? I really don't know the logistics of it because I'm not American and I don't live in America. On a really expensive item, going on a holiday to Europe and buying things may work out. I don't know if you'll then have to pay tariffs when you enter the country. Certainly 10 or 15 years ago, it made sense in Australia to take a trip to New York to buy a long 400 or 600mm lens because the airfares and the accommodation and everything were less than the premium of buying it in Australia. But I really don't know. And I don't know if I would do that because it seems very unpredictable how long the tariffs are going to last or when they're going to change, or yeah, I can't advise on that. Thomas, I'm all for the US selling off unused buildings and land to save the taxpayers money, but not national parks. Okay. So that's where I said let's cut off the questions, but we do have 5 minutes. So I'm now going to look for people who are asking questions for the first time. No offense, Paige, but I think you've left 10 now, so I think that'll do. Norwang, hello from Bhutan. Nice to see you. Is that, I haven't seen your username before. Is that the Strings friend, Norwang? let me know. Nice to see you. Can't wait to come over in September. Aaron is waving. Hello. Any questions? Any comments? Nice to see you. Moldenite, have you used the 105 f2D focus lens? I just got a copy and can't wait to try it out at a car show in a Botanic Gardens. Yes, I have used it. It's a fun old lens. There's videos, I think, still up on YouTube I did with it 12 years ago. I'll just leave it at that. It's a fun lens. You go and try it. I don't own one these days, and I prefer the 105E. Richard saying warranty is an issue if you're buying equipment other than the country where you live. Fair point. I think that might be it. Was there anything else that we needed to discuss here? We had a look at the news. I would love to see if any of you want to join me and meet Norwang in Bhutan. Then you can check out, let me just pop it in the chat. It's a very hard to find webpage called mattgranger.com/Bhutan that has details. I think it, great. So Norwang, if you join us in Bhutan, you'll get to meet him. What was I going to say? Yeah, we do have some spaces available for that. I would love to see you guys. I blanked on the other thing I was going to say, but I think I asked 3 or 4 times, did you guys want to do more live image reviews? And if so, make your suggestions. And we had no replies. So I'm going to take that as a no need for now, but we might just do more of these chit-chat videos in future. So I might even schedule the next one now so that you can put it on your calendar for next time. So thank you all for your comments and interaction. It would be nice to have a guest on this kind of thing, because just sitting here talking for an hour kind of feels a bit strange. Oh, and I just realized my light is not perfectly centered. Sorry about that. David asking, when will Nikon release the successor to the Z9? I appreciate I'm kind of that Nikon guy and I present a lot of Nikon reviews. If you're just asking my opinion, I can take a guess, but if I knew anything, I can't tell you. So there's no point asking that kind of question. Either I don't know and it's a guess, or I do know, but I'm under confidentiality agreements and I'd be breaking contract by saying anything. So yeah, I have no idea. But to be honest, based on the timeline that they used to release flagships, even things like D5, D6, it's overdue. So I don't know when it's coming. I sincerely haven't been told or heard any inklings of what even might be in an update. I have really no idea. For the Z8 or Z9, I have no idea, but the Z9, I would have expected it this year, but I am not a Nikon employee. I have no idea. And to be honest, I don't think most Nikon employees even know. It's everyone's guessing. Last question. Have you visited the Nikon Museum in Tokyo? Here's a nice follow-on about how much inside info I get. No, I haven't visited the Nikon Museum in Tokyo. I don't know if you mean the museum or the new headquarters that some other channels, I think Petapixel and others, went to. No, I have repeatedly tried to arrange to go when I'm visiting Japan on my own dime to coincide with a visit, and like with 2 months lead time, I can't ever get an answer from Nikon about even being allowed or invited to go to the museum. So that's how much of an insider I really am with Nikon. I hope to go, but it basically goes nowhere whenever I try, and I've not been invited to go. So no, I haven't. Poor me, poor me. Okay, I think we're gonna leave it there for now. Thank you all for your feedback. Thanks for your comment, Thomas. I appreciate it. Time to get into real work. I had my personal trainer this morning, so apologies I'm in sweaty clothes and haven't washed my face. page is still firing away questions, but the show's over. I hope the answers I already gave to your questions were useful. And I'll see you guys in the next one. I will schedule a new live soon. Cheers. I'll see you soon.